back again talking about MP-46 Masterpiece Beast Wars Blackarachnia. And the reason why we're talking about her again is we finally got the official images straight from Takara-Tomy in all her poses, everything, the weapons. So we finally know what the final product looks like. Not some hand-painted prototype, not something that's missing some pieces or something that was transformed with kids' gloves because it was a prototype. The final product. So courtesy of AmiAmi, which is one of the many sources that you could go to get Masterpiece products. AmiAmi is the first ones to get these official images straight from Japan, straight from Takara-Tomy, and we have every pose humanly possible in both modes.
Hooray.
So, what do we got to say about this, comparing it to what we discussed last time in terms of like her thorax and how the transformation is? Well, it looks like what we originally speculated when it came to the weapons and covering up, we were incorrect about that. But that being said, it does look better now the way that they've transformed it, the way that the legs are done this time around. It really is. It's one of these things where it's really one of these kind of alt modes that it looks good from one angle, and that one angle works, and then every other angle it's kind of like, yeah, you know. But again, and I talked about this before, it's something that the fact that they were able to even do this is surprising. Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, like, where do you put all that gold? You know, where
I could kind of see maybe like a third-party piece to kind of cover it up or something, some kind of paneling or something like that to get the colors right.
Yeah,
and just cover up the gold legs. I could see that happening.
It's, you know what? And again, to me, it's like,
but
as
who's
long
going
as
to really display it in Ultimate?
Exactly. As long as that robot mode is perfect, then I don't care. You know what I mean? Like it's gotten to that point. I tracked down the old mainframe CG models. Like there was an extra that was on one of the old Rhino DVD box sets where it had like all just the CG models of the characters on their own transforming in slow-mo. And you could just see how stuff was, you know, some magic was obviously used with some of those characters. And Blackarachnia was one of those where literally just stuff disappeared and reappeared. And she was one of those examples that's like, you go like, yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do. But otherwise, the one thing I do like is we have something that's an absolutely perfect animation model robot mode, something that, like, you know, not a single inch of the original animation model is absent here, combined with the fact that, judging by the way this toy was handled, insane articulation.
I am super surprised that she could do a sitting and cross her legs. That's the pose that's really impressive to me.
Well, the crossing her legs, there's one where she's doing a high kick, which is like that's a almost like an ab crunch, you know, to do stuff like that. So it's, I mean, really impressive. Like it's something that I can't wait until like the Hobby Link and Hobby Japan magazines get a hold of this stuff, because it's the same thing they did with Beast Wars Megatron, where they had like pictures of him in poses and then they would have like screenshots from the show next to it. And they were just showing how much you could recreate. And it's, I mean, the reality is like you said before, not many people are going to have it in spider mode. There wasn't many iconic scenes involving her in her spider mode. I almost feel like Tarantulas is a lot more associated with that, if anything. Even though
he kind of reveled in it a lot more.
Well, and not to mention when Season 2 rolled around and all the Energon was stabilized, and now there was like really not an excuse to ever be in the alt mode. Like when you were a Transmetal or when you were a Fusor, there was almost like an excuse to be in that alt mode because of flight, or, you know, there was some other reason. Like Cheetor, why would he ever be a cheetah again? Oh yeah, because he has rockets now. Like that's the only reason. Same thing with Rat Trap, he has wheels, you know. So, but any of those Transmetal characters like Rhinox or Blackarachnia, there really wasn't an excuse to transform anymore. And so Season 2, like, those characters were almost permanently, you know, bearing small moments here and there, but they were almost permanently in robot mode. Yeah. And so she is a character that's just, I mean, really, when you think of that character, you think of that robot mode. And I'm glad that they didn't sacrifice the robot mode to make both modes work. They made sure, let's get a perfect robot mode and work our way down and do the best we can. And I'm happy with the way it looks. And again, certain angles, that Black Widow mode looks nice. Some angles it doesn't look so nice, but whatever, you know. we'll just get into like now we actually have a good idea of like of the weapons and stuff like that. So as I mentioned before when I guessed, I was like, yeah, the visor is the visor from other Voices Part 2.
Yeah, that was really cool.
You know, so and the same thing, the cable's there.
Well, what always blows my mind about it too is that I'm looking at it and I was like, oh, that's the CGI model. I'm no, wait a minute.
And the one that we didn't know, because they said that there was an angry face and a regular face. The angry face, what it actually represents is after the last episode of season 1, when Tarantulas was now in her mind, every time Tarantulas talked to her, her eyes would turn green.
Right.
So we have like the Tarantulas possessed face. That's the quote angry face that was originally included here. So again, the mention before of like you have the anchor missile and then you have the regular missile. So I mean, this looks great. This looks great. I like how articulated her Black Widow feet are, so she could even do her, like I call them the machine gun feet, where they would aim the other way and she could shoot from the tips. Like same thing with Tarantulas. He also had that ability. I mean, she looks spectacular. She looks great. This is day 1 pre-order purchase. I'm still going to get 2 of these just because I like to have both modes. I mean, this is amazing, and the articulation's amazing. Like it's funny because we look back and we look at all these G1 masterpieces, and it seems like there's still people that are unsatisfied with some of the releases that have come from the Takara side. Like some people go like, "Oh, I don't like the Ironhide," or "I don't like the way they."
Yeah, I could see that.
I don't like the way they did their Inferno, or I don't like this, or I don't like that, or even with the new Masterpiece 3.0 Optimus coming, some people are like, I don't like this or I don't like that. But it's
well, to be kind of fair about it. Seems like sometimes Takara-Tomy don't like their hot rod, and you know what I mean, and it's just like, all right, well, we got it, don't worry, boom, this one, how about this one?
They still, in all honesty, they still haven't perfected it. But it's funny that those designs that you would think they would have perfected at this point, they still kind of are, they're not perfect. Like
they're not perfect, but it's interesting that like the new Ironhide and the new Ratchet that are out for Siege, like everybody's loving those, and I feel like those are pretty spot on for my taste. I would definitely buy those.
I think for every like Soundwave and Shockwave masterpiece, you get like again some that people are kind of half on. I think there's a lot. I mean, I love the Wheeljack and stuff, but I mean, I could understand where people are coming from. But it's funny how those ones have so much contention. But then you look at the Beast Wars designs. Now, granted, yes, the Beast Wars designs were 3D models to begin with, but I always kind of felt that some of those designs were the ones that were impossible because they did as much shortcuts as a 2D animation model did in a lot of ways. But yet, here we are, and it looks great. It looks great.
I wonder if they like went to Mainframe or Rainmaker and it's like, hey, do you still have those old models lying around?
For sure.
And they're like, oh yeah, sure, here you go. And it's just like, we can do this now, guys. We could do let's just put this into AutoCAD and fix it. We could do this. We could totally do this, guys. We got this. We got this.
In all honesty, like, what next now? I mean, there's what I want, and then there's what I think's going to happen. I mean, I still stand by that it's going to be the Transmetal leaders next. What I would want next, I almost want Tigatron. I want that character to get revisited and done right this time. And I feel that I want Tigatron because I feel that the engineering's already kind of there for him.
It would kind of be like a retool. It doesn't even have to be like a repaint.
Yeah, it would be
a retool.
Like the skeleton is already there. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't even say a retool. Like, but the basic general design is already there. Like the engineers wouldn't have to think too far away from what Cheetor already was.
Do you think if they do him, the accessories will kind of be like a mix between what we got in the show and maybe the manga?
Well, the funny thing is
like he'll get like a samurai sword or something like that.
Tigatron had like different stuff from Cheetor. Like in the very first episode that Tigatron appeared in, Fallen Comrade, when he first appeared, he actually had like a wrist launcher that shot missiles. Like he used it like once. I think he like used it only once that time. So like there's little things like that masterpieces are known for, where they go, hey, remember that one thing? Like they'll put that one thing. So, like, again, you'd have to, like, retool those Cheetor arms completely to now have some kind of wrist, you know, like, little latch that would come out. And, again, he only really used his gut gun, which, you know, only kind of had 2 settings. It had, like, you know, like, fire retardant setting, and then sometimes it would shoot pulse energy. But he never used his tail gun in the show. Ever.
Even did either of them use the tail gun?
Cheetor used it in 2 episodes, and only in 1 episode does he actually pull the trigger on it. He's just seen holding it. So, like, I mean, the gut gun was the go-to for that character. So, but it's the same thing where it's like if they're going to do Tigatron, it's something where it's like, well, he never used that gun in the show, so I guess maybe we could do something more clever with it. Maybe we could have some fun with it. So it's something that I would love to see them tackle that character again. I mean, I saw from the comments from the last time we discussed Blackarachnia, some people were like, oh, they could totally do Rhinox and Rat Trap again. Look, I hope I'm wrong on that. I really do. I would love them to revisit those characters.
I feel like the Rat Trap will probably come in at a price point of like Bumblebee or something, you know?
Yeah, I do.
And then Rhinox, like how big you're gonna make him?
And it's funny, and
how properly scaled would he be?
And Bumblebee both times to justify Bumblebee, they would always throw in like, oh, here's an exosuit or here's this huge backpack. You know, like they'd always do something to like almost make it.
Rat Trap would just come with like depth chargers and like grenades. Like it would just come with all these little tiny things. You know what I mean?
He's got to come with something. Definitely.
Demolitions expert.
But yeah, let us know.
Thumbs.
Let us know what you think about this. This is great. Now we know what she looks like. Let us know if you're pre-ordering it or if you're gonna be crazy like me and get 2 of them. Let us know what you think about the Spider.